Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Coach Gwen here, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about who exactly is this Queen Jezebel we keep hearing about. From this, we will see a template on which the spirit of narcissism was left behind when we're dealing with narcissistic abuse. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Okay, so according to 1 Kings chapter 21, we see that there was a king by the name of Omri. And Omri had a son by the name of Ahab. And Ahab, according to the Bible, was one of the most wickedest kings ever. Now, Ahab, he married a Phoenician princess by the name of Jezebel. Now, some say that this marriage may have been politically correct or organized because the political side was so even. They were about power and they were from the same spiritual background where they both served the Canaanite gods, Baal and his divine girlfriend, Asherah. These were the fertility gods, the prosperity gods, and the money gods. They were over the weather and so on and so forth. Now, these two characters in the Bible, Ahab and Jezebel, they were the most vilified people in the Bible amongst that day. They were like a modern day Bonnie and Clyde. They committed horrific crimes against their subjects just for personal gain. So, now serving as a queen, she's a false prophet, and she persecuted the real prophets. I mean, she was just a hater, envious and jealous of the very thing that she was not and couldn't be, but wanted to be. I mean, she took hater to another level. She hated real prophets so bad she started massacring them, the prophets of God. Now, these are the type of people that will sacrifice their firstborn as an offering for whatever they wanted. So in 1 Kings 21, we see that Ahab, he coveted his next door neighbor's vineyard. I mean, he basically went to him and saying, Naboth, give me your property. And they both refused to sell it to him because this land had been in Naboth's family for hundreds of years. Okay? This was a beautiful plantation, and it was his. It was his inheritance that had been passed down. It was his legacy. It was his business. Okay? It was his grapes. So he told the king, no. No, you cannot have my grapes. You cannot have my property. No, it's not even for sale, dude. Get out of here. Now, if you want to find out if you're dealing with a narcissist, tell them no and see how they handle your no. Even if you said 1,000 yeses, okay? One no is like taking the wind right out of their sail, because they can't handle it. So he says, no, you cannot have my grapes. No, it's not for sale. I'm not giving it to you. I'm not selling it to you. It's mine. It's my birthright. That would be like selling your soul, right? This had been passed down generation after generation. So no amount of money could buy it, right? But Ahab didn't see it that way. He was so insulted. He became sick to the point where he went home. He lost his appetite. He couldn't eat. And when wifey comes in, she gets home and she asks, hey, what's going on? What's wrong? Why aren't you eating your food? And he told her, well, I wanted the vineyard next door. And do you know he told me no? How many of you know that sometimes we just can't have what we want and we just have to deal with it? But she let him know, we can have whatever we want. I got you, boo. I got you. I'm going to take care of everything. How many of you know that the narcissist wants your inheritance? They want your inheritance. Whatever is yours, rightfully so, they don't care. They want it. So they'll send out their little flying monkeys like she did to lie, saying that they heard and they're both cussing the king and God. So she basically started a whole smear campaign, right? Doing what narcissists do best. They lie. She wrote letters posing as the king herself. She sealed them with his seal, okay, basically forgery. And then she sent it to the elders and the nobles. And she told Ahab, arise. He's dead. Go get his vineyard. Now, these are capital offenses. And Naboth was actually summoned to be executed and stoned because of cursing the king, supposedly. This is not good. So now King Ahab and Jezebel, they're in violations of the first commandment, thou shalt not have any gods before me. Okay, they were already in violation of that. But now they violated the 9th commandment. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Right? And the 10th commandment, which is thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods. So, for these violations, guess who gets to put the king in check for this? A whistleblower, a troublemaker, a truth teller, a prophet. Now, the king had Obadiah who worked for him. And Obadiah, he feared the Lord. And he took it upon himself, since Queen Jezebel was killing the prophets, to hide 100 prophets in 2 caves, 50 in each cave. He took care of them by feeding them bread and giving them water to keep them alive. And one day, he and the king, because there was a famine in the land of Samaria, and so he and the king decided to go for a walk to pursue some food in the land, and they split up, went separate ways. And Obadiah ran into the prophet Elijah, and he was fearful of Elijah because prophets are known as troublemakers. And so he immediately got defensive. How many of you know that some things just don't have anything to do with you? When you see somebody coming, it don't have nothing to do with you. So Obadiah informed Ahab that Elijah was there so they could meet. And when Ahab saw Elijah, the first thing he said was, oh, look, here comes trouble. Isn't it funny how people refer to you or scapegoats, prophets as trouble? But I get it. Nobody likes the prophets, right? So Elijah, he fired back and he was saying, no, I don't think so. I'm not the one starting trouble. It was you, because you turned the children of Israel away from Jehovah, our God, and his righteousness, so that they could worship your idolatrous exploits. So you're the one that's the troublemaker, dude. It's you. How long will you falter between 2 opinions, singing and dancing and worshiping and wavering and fluctuating? So they went to battle. And they said, we're going to go to battle. And if your God, Baal, is God, then we're going to worship him. And if Jehovah be God, then we're going to worship him. And the God that answers by fire, that's the real God. So 450 kings of Ahab against one man, Elijah. And the people agreed to this sacrifice, this war, this showdown, right? So they offered bulls. And Baal, he was the god of the storms and the lightning. So this should have been a pretty easy battle. Plus, he was already in the midst of his own people. many of you know that favor just ain't fair? So the kings, they dug ditches and prepared the bull offering. And that morning, they began the showdown. They began worshiping and dancing and calling on Baal, their god, right? And then they got crickets. They got frantic. And time was a ticking. The day was really passing them by. And it started getting to the point where they started cutting themselves and blood gushing out. Just a bloody mess, right? Just a bloody old mess to no avail. Meanwhile, Elijah over here watching them and checking them out, poking fun and making statements like, so, where's your God, huh? Where's your God now? Oh, I get it. He must be somewhere catching a little nap. Huh? No, maybe he is busy or he went on a vacation to the Bahamas. I mean, he's just poking fun at them and picking. Maybe he's in Vegas. I don't know. So finally, due to exhaustion and the day passing by and Elijah poking fun, they were humiliated and they gave up. So when Elijah's turn came, he took center stage. He built his altar as a sacrifice, and he did the same. He put the bulls down, except that when he prepared his offering, he cut up the bull, and he didn't just use wood like King Ahab. He also used wood. He used 12 stones representing the 12 tribes of Jacob, now called Israel. And so Elijah dug the trenches around the offering, and then he told one of the servants, hey, go get some water and we're going to pour it on the offering in the trenches. We're going to pour the water there. So they did. Then they came back after they did that. He said, you know what? Go get another one. Go pour more water. Go get more water so we can pour it on the offering. And they did. Then he said, no, that's not enough. We're going to douse it even more. They got a third batch of water, poured it on the trenches. The Bible said the trenches was filled with water. Then Elijah did what he did. He called on Jehovah, the God, and God rained down by fire. And the Bible says he licked up everything, right? So now they have to worship Jehovah because he won. So at Elijah's command, it's time to seize all of their false prophets. Take them over to the brook of Kishon and execute them all, right? So after all of this, Elijah told King Ahab, look, I really came here to tell you that it's going to rain. And so if I were you, I'd go grab something to eat, pack up, and head home because it's going to rain. Now, it hadn't rained there in 3 years, so they didn't believe it, but they departed and went to Mount Carmel. Elijah did and prayed, and he got on his knees, put his head between his knees, and he prayed on the mountain, told his servant, go check for some rain. Now, his servant did this 7 times, and finally he saw a cloud that looked like a man's hand, and he said, yep, I see the cloud. Elijah got so happy when the skies got dark. The Spirit of the Lord fell on him, and I mean, he got happy to the point where he outran Ahab and his chariot all the way back to Jezreel. I mean, he beat him on foot, 20 miles or so, back to the royal city where he went and spilled the tea. I mean, he told everybody the good news of what had happened in his behalf and his favor. And when King Ahab got back, well, guess what? He had a different version of the story. Ha! He told Jezebel all that had happened, and she flipped her wig. That spirit is a warring spirit that hates to lose. So the rage of the narcissist reared its ugly little head. So she's like, what? So she began to falsely prophesy. And she prophesied that by this time tomorrow, I'm going to have his head. I'm going to have Elijah's life for this. Paraphrasing. Now, when Elijah got wind that Jezebel wanted to have him, oh my God, he took off running again, right? He's a track star. And it's just like when we deal with the narcissist. Elijah ran for his life. No contact. He wanted to die. He wanted to commit suicide, literally. I mean, he experienced confusion, depression, and fear. He wanted to quit his job, his day job. He wanted to quit his job and die. He went from on top of the world to a high of celebrating a victory down in the valley of wanting to just quit. Just that quick. He hollered out to God, God, this is enough. I've had enough. Have you ever wondered when the cycle of abuse was going to end with Queen Jezebel or the narcissist in your life? When is it going to end? He had enough. He cried this out until he collapsed. He was done, okay? He was done. And then the angel of the Lord came to strengthen him because God wasn't quite done with him. He had another journey to do. He had to go on another 40 days. Well, he hid in a cave and he told the Lord, and the Lord told him, why are you here? And he said, well, I was down there showing out and, you know, your children have forsaken you and I killed the prophets and now they want to kill me. And the Lord commanded him, go to the mountains. And when he got there, he sent an earthquake, he sent wind, he sent fire. And he said to Elijah, why are you here? And Elijah said again, the same thing. And God spoke to him in a still small voice to let him know, hey, I broke wind and look at what happened. You survived all of that fire and wind and rain and storm. You survived that. Surely you can survive Queen Jezebel. But what he didn't realize is that he had already ran a day's journey, which meant that he was still alive. Her prophecy did not come to pass. When the prophecy don't come to pass, it's a false prophet, y'all. But again, it didn't matter to him. He was tired. He was done. And God seemed to honor Elijah's wishes. But he gave him 3 last things to do. He said, before I let you off the hook, I need you to do these 3 things. Number 1, anoint Hazael king over Syria. Number 2, anoint the Israelite military commander named Jehu as king over Israel. And number 3, anoint Elisha as your successor. Now, Elijah thought he was slick, so he starts from the bottom of the list. And he's going to delegate these other 2 responsibilities to Elisha. He didn't even want to do them. He was done. He was finito, right? So, remember when the king had stole the vineyard? Well, that still had to be dealt with. So, God still had something for Elijah to deal with this one last thing. So, he sent Elijah to King Ahab for this apostasy. And he said to Ahab, know that God sees everything. And he was watching you the whole time. I still know what you did last summer. You killed Nabal. And you took his vineyard. And now your legacy will be stoned to death the same way y'all did him. It's going to be done to you. You don't even get a burial either. And the dogs are going to lick up your blood just like they did his. You won't die and get a decent burial. And if you die in the field, the dogs are going to eat you. And if you die in the city, the birds are going to eat you. No burial for you. No honor for you. No tombstone saying king was here. The king was here. No, you don't get that. So Ahab repented and God gave him some mercy because he's a merciful God like that. But he still met his demise as it was prophesied. So now, Elisha anointed the military commander Jehu to be God's chosen vessel and to punish Ahab's remaining family, right? Now, Jehu, he was a ruthless soldier who only just followed orders and everything. Now, when Jehu, he arrives to the city of Jezreel, they sent a horseman out to find out his intentions. Like, why are you here? Again, nobody likes the prophet. They think they're trouble, right? So they want to know what you're doing here. But guess what? The horseman never returned. So they sent another one out. He didn't return. Now, why do you think that is? Because some people can hear the truth and change sides. Nobody wanted to play with Jehu. And that's what we need when we're dealing with Jezebel. We need that spirit of Jehu, because Jehu wasn't no joke. He was treacherous, and his time of securing his reign to become king of Israel was here. And so he sends an arrow straight through Jezebel's son, Joram. And everybody sees this and they take off running. Then Queen Jezebel, she paints her face and she gets ready to meet her demise and impending doom. Wanting to look her best and be charismatic, her old charismatic self, even when facing a horrific situation. Keep your game face on. That's what she did. And Jehu tells her eunuchs, throw her down. Now they obeyed his command and they threw her down. And the rest, my friends, is history. The dogs licked her blood. Her skull and her hands was there. The horses trampled on it by feet. I mean, it was done. So this is the template that we are looking at when we deal with the narcissist spirit. And this is the rise and the fall of Queen Jezebel. Now, if you made it to the end of this video, good for you. Yay, right? But I want to say thank you so much for watching. And please leave a comment letting me know, why do you think she painted her face? Was she flirting with him? Or was it just her old charismatic self? What do you think? And also, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you learned anything. And share what you learned with a friend. Sharing is caring. And if you know somebody that is emotionally abused, don't let them deal with this alone. Pass this information on to them, okay? So until next time, this is Coach Gwen, your GPS, getting you positioned for success. Be immensely blessed and know that you are loved. God bless.